Executive Order Number 103, issued by Governor Murphy on March 9, 2020, declaring a state of emergency and a public health emergency in the state of New Jersey. Notice of the meeting was given by 1, public advertisement and sufficient notice herein to the Home News Tribune, New Jersey. 2, filing advance written notice of the meeting with the city clerk's office, and 3, posting the notice of the meeting on the authority's public website. During the meeting, participants, including members of the public, may be muted by the host. However, there will be opportunities for them to participate and speak during the public portion of the meeting, where participants will be unmuted at their request. You ready for roll call?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunlap is.
Yeah.
Oh, Commissioner Dunlap, you're here?
Grace and peace, John, yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you. Oh. Commissioner Walde,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright. I see you, Commissioner Wright. All right, Commissioner Caldwell. Commissioner Giorgiani
Yes.
and Chairwoman.
Yes.
Pledge of Allegiance. Flag is actually over here. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, the Republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're at consideration of the minutes from the December 16th meeting. Chair, you need a motion and a second.
Move.
I'll second.
Any abstentions? Ready for the roll, Chair?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunlap,
Yes.
Commissioner Walde,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani,
Yes.
and Chair.
Make a correction on that, John.
Sure.
I need to abstain from the minutes from last month.
Okay. My report will stand. It's in the package. As you may know, we have just to give you some information, we have a HUD secretary, well, a HUD nominee secretary, Fudge, is testifying tomorrow in the congressional subcommittee. If anyone is interested in looking at that, I believe it's 10 or 10:30 she starts. We should get some more information on what their policies and projected items will be from that testimony. But other than that, my report will stand, and I'll be happy to address any questions from the board unless you want to go into.
Yeah. 2 questions I have.
Sure.
What the background of the nominee? Do you know anything about?
So she was a mayor from a town in Ohio.
Oh, okay.
She's on a number of congressional subcommittees, so she's a congresswoman as well. And I don't know her, I've never met her, but I know that she was a mayor, so she has an administrative background, which is good.
I have another question. Any progress with the tax credit?
Yeah, so we actually are putting together our financials. We have a scheduled call in February to follow up. I don't know what HMFA's new deadlines are going to be. As of right now, they've allowed extensions through December of 2021. We don't plan on taking that long. So our hope is to put together the rest of our financials, balance out the budget, and submit that so we can move on to the next phase.
Yeah. No, my question is related to the senior housing. Just
Yeah, that's the project I'm talking about, the 9% tax credit deal.
Yeah.
So HMFA extended the deadline through December of 2021. They gave us a full year. We don't plan on taking that total year. Our hope is to put together the rest of the finances for it. The issue is the tax credit sale amounts are like all over the place.
Yeah.
So from the equity standpoint, so we don't want to go to market or try to take those out until we get the rest of the budget done. We haven't really heard. The budget still has some gaps because of the Federal Home Loan Bank and some other funders don't have their amounts yet. I think they're all kind of waiting to see if there's going to be maybe some stimulus motivations for the tax credit program, which we're hearing that there may be. If that's the case, then I think it'll be quite quickly eaten up and issued out, which will make that market a lot harder and it'll harden it for a number, which will give us more of an idea of what that budget's going to be.
Okay.
Right now, we're all the way as low as 88 and as high as 94. So, which is a big gap. And that's all I had, Chair.
All right, thanks.
Ready for resolutions, Chair? Okay. Resolution number 1 is a resolution acting as redevelopment agency, resolution approving a redevelopment agreement between the Housing Authority of the City of New Brunswick and Sovereign Consulting, Inc. as redeveloper for property located at 131 Jersey Ave, Block 243, Lot 27.01 on the New Brunswick tax map for construction of a flex warehouse facility in the 131 Jersey Ave redevelopment plan area. You need a motion and a second to open.
I'll make a motion to accept.
Second.
Okay, Chair, we have our special counsel, John Hoffman.
Okay.
Good evening, everybody. You may remember in December that the redeveloper was before you and you designated Sovereign as the redeveloper. The property is located at 131 Jersey Avenue, consists of about 4.7 acres. They want to build a one-story flex warehouse consisting of 63,515 square feet, of which about 4,200 would be office space, with 54 surface parking spaces and 4 loading spaces. The redeveloper showed he has experience in developing other redevelopment projects. The cost of the project is approximately $12.36 million, of which they will contribute equity of about $3.6 million and get a mortgage of $8.7. You approve them as the redeveloper. The agreement is our usual agreement whereby the redeveloper agrees to reimburse the agency for its administrative fee, all of its costs, and the city ordinance fee, which is in excess of $20,000. It agrees to use its best efforts to use local residents on the construction. The construction timetable is that they hope to start construction in June of 2021 and complete construction in January of 2022. We have the usual insurance and indemnity provisions, and just so you know that from a liability standpoint, they have to have $5 million in liability, and they have workers' comp and builders' risk insurance. They also indemnify the redeveloper, all of the agency and all of its directors and employees and the city. We have the usual covenants that they can't discriminate, they can't transfer without our consent, and that they can only use the property for uses permitted in the redevelopment zone, and that's an industrial and a warehouse use. We have rights of a mortgagee, which is if there's a default on their mortgage, the mortgagee can come over, but either has to sell it to somebody who's qualified, or if they want to continue construction, we have to consent to it. The default provisions are if they don't complete construction within the time designated, or they don't pay any of their redevelopment costs or their taxes, or go bankrupt, there's a default, and we can de-designate them as the redeveloper. And there's also the usual force majeure clause. So it's the usual agreement that we have. This is a relatively simple redevelopment project. There's no residences. It's just a one-story warehouse of about 63,000 square feet. And it's permitted in the zone, and all the bulk requirements are met. It's setbacks, parking, loading, they're all met by the plan. Mr. Clarkin's here representing the redeveloper, but as you may remember, in December, the redeveloper himself made an extensive presentation, which explained the project.
Yes, we're here to answer any questions if you have any.
Any questions?
Yeah. Whatever.
Go ahead.
Have you made any changes since your presentation last month or 2 months ago?
No, everything is status quo.
That's my question.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay. Any other questions from the commissioners? Okay, John?
You want to do the roll call, Chair?
Yep, do the roll call.
Okay. Commissioner Dunlap,
Yes.
Commissioner Walde,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani,
Yes.
Chair.
Yes.
Okay. Motion passes. Thank you, guys. Shall I
Madam
continue,
Chair,
Chair?
Commissioners, thank you very much. How many copies
Thank
of the
you.
agreement do I need to send in?
John Hoffman? I only
I'll
need
take
two
care of
because
that
I
with
can
you,
scan
Jim.
the rest. Two is fine with me.
Yeah, I think if we have four copies, we'll be fine.
Okay, thank you very much. Have a good night.
All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Resolution number 2 is a resolution ratifying, authorizing, and approving payments of bills for the month of November and December 2020.
Okay, motion?
I'll make a motion to accept.
Was there a second?
Who made the motion? I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
I made the motion, John.
Oh, thanks. And seconded by
I'll second it.
Commissioner, okay.
Thank you. All right, any questions?
Ready?
Okay, go ahead, John. Roll
Commissioner
call.
Dunlap,
Yes.
Commissioner Walde,
Yes,
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani,
Yes.
and Chair.
Yes.
All right, resolution number 3, I'm sorry, is a resolution awarding and approving contract for unit modernization and maintenance repairs to All Risk as primary and Magic Construction as secondary contractors in a total amount not to exceed $200,000.
Okay, can we get a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay.
So
any-
just a point of order, Chair. So as you know, we go out annually to bid maintenance modernization, electric, and plumbing as separate contracts. We also did a maintenance repair contract, which is a little bit further down the pipeline this year for some additional repairs on some of the units. These are all publicly bid documents and publicly bid opened. So these are the successful respondents that scored the highest on the items that were publicly bid.
Okay, thank
I-
you. Go ahead.
I have a question, Madam Chair. John, you say the name of the company was?
The first company is, the two companies are All Risk and Magic Construction. All Risk is the primary, Magic Construction is the secondary, so it would be a tier. there's-
Magic? know
Magic,
Magic
yeah, Magic
Construction-
Construction.
Do you know if they're affiliated with Magic, the roofing company?
I don't believe so. I believe Magic is a prime. It's not a roofing, yeah, it's Magic
No, I
Construction.
mean, I
They
didn't
do-
know if they were like somehow affiliated with them.
No, it's plumbing and electric. They do plumbing,
Okay.
electric, and unit modernization. They don't, I
Okay,
don't
thank
believe, yeah, there's no sub, it's not a sub of another company.
I have a
Go ahead.
John, I think I saw a chart which shows mechanical
Mhm.
reservation and Robert Griggs. How come they didn't submit a bid?
Oh, we don't, I have
Bid.
no idea. So what happens is when we open a bid
Mhm.
for advertisement, people
Mhm.
contact us to obtain the spec.
Mhm.
So we list not only who obtained the spec as a tracking, but who
Okay.
submitted.
Okay.
We don't contact people out, we list. So if there's 8 people that got the spec and only 2 people submitted, we don't contact them to say why they didn't.
Oh,
Because
okay.
it's a public bid. So if they choose to, they look at the spec, they want to bid the contract, they bid the contract, because we're not allowed to solicit. It's a public bid. So we
And
literally,
I was surprised if they gave their names.
yeah, no, they have to give their names in order to get the
Yeah.
package. So, and it's common, we get
Oh,
we get people that look at bids, they may say, oh, you know what, it's a little bit beyond our ability, or we're already got another contract in the interim. Or some people look at it and just say it's not big enough, or it's too big, or it's too small, or they're at their bonding capacity. So there's all multiple reasons why they wouldn't, but
Okay.
we're not permitted to contact them. Essentially,
Very
'cause it's
good.
public-
Okay.
It's a public process.
thanks.
Thank you, John. Are there any other questions with this resolution? If not, John, roll call?
Commissioner Dunlap,
Yes.
Commissioner Walde,
Yes,
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani,
Yes.
and Chair.
Yes.
All right, resolution number 4 is a resolution awarding and approving contract for electrical repairs and maintenance to Magic Touch Construction in an amount not to exceed $100,000.
Okay, can you get a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept.
Is there a second?
Second.
second.
Okay, are there any questions?
Any relationship with Magic Touch and what?
Yeah, Magic Construction and Magic Touch are the same. They do their electrical work through Magic Touch,
Touch,
and they
okay,
do their plumbing work through Magic Touch. But Magic
Okay.
Construction is the overall.
okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, roll call, go ahead.
Commissioner Dunlap,
yes,
Commissioner Walde,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani,
yes,
and Chair.
Yes,
Resolution number 5 is a resolution resolution awarding
Number 4.
and approving a contract for plumbing repairs and maintenance service to Magic Touch Construction in the amount of $200,000, not to exceed $200,000.
okay, can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept.
Is there a
Second.
second?
Second.
And
Second
who
was
that?
Commissioner Wright.
Zach, yes,
Oh, Zach, okay.
Okay, thank you.
Again, similarly, this is a bid, lowest responsible bidder. And this is for plumbing and emergency plumbing repairs, which we've had an amount of this past, now that it's getting cold. They also do our priming and plumbing for heating systems. So this is the same contract we went out with last year. And knock on wood, we got everything up and running this year. So we're happy with this contract. It was the lowest responsible bidder because they now know everything. Last year was the first year that they came to the property. So there was a little bit of a learning curve, but now they know everything and they're now the lowest responsible bidder.
Okay, thank you, John. Are there any other questions? Okay, if not, John, go ahead, roll.
Commissioner Dunlap,
yes,
Commissioner Walde,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani,
yes,
and Chair.
Yes,
All right. And lastly, our resolution number 6 is a resolution awarding and approving a contract for separate maintenance. Well, these are actually maintenance repairs, which is a little bit different than the other maintenance contract, to Magic Touch in the amount not to exceed $150,000.
okay, can I get a motion?
I'll
Move.
make a motion to accept.
Second.
And who's second?
I'm sorry, who seconded? A bunch of people.
I did.
All right, Zach, I got you.
Okay, thank you.
So same thing, public bid. These are repair contracts for unit turnarounds, a little bit different than the regular maintenance routine repairs where we had All Risk as the primary and Magic as the secondary. So these are on unit turnarounds. So this would be working on, if there's vacant units, they would go in and help our staff. These will all help staff do the maintenance, do the repairs, and do the other work.
Okay, thank you. Are there any further questions?
Yeah, I have a question. Now, John, number 3 is for unit modernization and repairs.
Right.
And the one we just mentioned is for maintenance repair. So they do that separately? Is that what it is?
Yeah, so modernization would be work on existing units that are occupied.
Okay.
So when we do our annual inspections, if we go in a unit and there's, water leaking in a wall or something like that, that's modernization work. When a unit is vacated, it's typically done underneath our repair component. So when the unit's vacant, they go in and they're able to pull out the toilets or replace a tub or do those types of things. The modernization is more for units that are occupied. And the modernization contract is actually split in those primary and secondary because we have more modernization work than we have unit turnarounds. Even though we've had a pretty hefty number of vacant units and turnaround units this last year with people, expiring and such.
So the first one is just ongoing maintenance of
Correct.
units.
Yeah, the modernization would be for typically is occupied units.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, John, roll.
Commissioner Dunlap,
yes,
Commissioner Walde,
Yes.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani,
Yes,
and Chair.
Yes.
Okay, that's all the resolutions.
Okay, thank you. Okay, at this time, we have for public comment. The timing we have for this is about 5 minutes. And who do we have? Is there anybody for any public comment?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. This is Charlie Cradaville, New Brunswick resident, editor of New Brunswick Today. It's good to be with you in these unusual circumstances. I wanted to make a few points. First of all, in terms of access to the meeting, I am glad that you chose Zoom as the platform for your remote meeting. One of the advantages is that people can join from their computer and also from their phone. I did notice that the notice of the meeting does not include the phone number or the digits that you're supposed to punch in to be able to join the meeting. So we are broadcasting it live on New Brunswick Today with that information in the bottom part of the screen. But I would just ask that, future meeting notices include that information as well as the link. I think it's great to offer both and indeed required under the DCA regulations to offer people who don't have access to the internet or a computer the same ability to come on the line, listen in, and make comments. So I hope that in the future that can be done. I did want to reiterate a comment from the last meeting I made about the order of the agenda for these meetings. I think it's vastly superior to allow public comment before you vote on any of the resolutions. I know, for example, tonight, if I had questions for Mr. Hoffman or for the applicant or his attorney, it would be too late for me to ask those questions because they're no longer on the call. And of course, every once in a while, I do make a good point, and maybe it would be possible that my point might actually, make you think differently about some of the resolutions that are on your agenda. So it would make sense for you to allow the public to speak before you actually take the votes on redevelopment matters, as well as these contracts and other resolutions that you're approving. And so I would ask that, in the future, you do, rearrange the order of your agenda to allow for that. And then finally, just wanted to talk a little bit about this site where the redevelopment agreement is for, the Flex Warehouse site at 131 Jersey Avenue. I know this is a site that's been a huge eyesore for a long time. In fact, I have a city newsletter from 2006 that claims that this is going to be, medical offices very soon. Of course, that, went through this board, but did not come to pass. I understand the property has been transferred to the current owner, and then, they had really nothing going on there for several years. I believe there's still contamination there. And, for some reason, Mayor Cahill thought it would be a good idea to propose building a school there. And so for, at least a few weeks there, it looked like this was going to be the site where Mayor Cahill wanted to replace the Lincoln Annex School, even though it's so far from the neighborhood that that needs the school, where the people actually live. And so I'm glad that that wasn't ultimately the site that was selected. I do understand there was another site also in a redevelopment area, I believe under the jurisdiction of this board until recently, the Jersey Handy redevelopment area. And I just wanted to ask what will come of that other redevelopment area, because of course, Jack Morris's company, Edgewood Properties, has come back and forth to this board over the years, changing their plans and promising to deliver all sorts of things at this huge site, where I know they used eminent domain to kick people out. And really, we don't have very much to show for it. We have a Walgreens that is not even 24 hours anymore. We have a few shops, and we have a bank that never opened, a bank that is, they built a bank building that is just sitting there and has never opened and may never open, and then a huge chunk of flat land that is, to my understanding, still in need of remediation. And so my understanding is that the Housing Authority is no longer in charge of that redevelopment area. It's been somehow transferred to the Middlesex County Improvement Authority. And I just wanted to ask what that means for that redevelopment plan. And, Mr. Morris's company, do they have to pay, or, have they been formally terminated as the redeveloper? And ultimately, what's going to come of that site, which, of course, I'm talking about the site near the Walgreens, where the powers that be want to put a new school to replace the one that they have so egregiously and callously given away to the developers.
Okay, John?
Yeah, I don't have information on that, but I'll be able to get back to the board and Charlie on that. I don't have any information on that. So you're saying the property's been transferred to the Middlesex County Improvement Authority?
So the property I heard was transferred to Devco, and it would be the site of the replacement school one day once they get the remediation done and once they get their act together and actually get started on the project. But as far as who is the redevelopment entity, as in the government agency that's in charge of that redevelopment area. The city council, I believe, made the MCIA the redevelopment entity for that, just like they did with the current Lincoln Annex site and the site next to it, where they want to build a crazy big parking deck and power plant that will pollute the neighborhood. Those two sites are under the MCIA now, and I believe also the Jersey Handy redevelopment area. So I don't know how that works to usurp your power as this board over that redevelopment area and just give it to the county improvement authority. I don't know how that works or if that's ever been done before, but I just, understand if you don't have the answers tonight, but if you could follow up, I'd appreciate it.
Yep, sure, no problem.
Okay, thank you, John. So that information will be followed up. Thank you, Charlie. Okay.
Thank you. That's all. Good
Okay,
night.
all right, thank you. Have a good night. Okay, all right,
Chair, there's no matters for closed session.
no. Okay,
You need a motion in a second to adjourn?
yes, I need
There's
a
no more
motion
comments.
and a second to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second,
Okay,
Ready for the vote? Commissioner
Yes.
Dunlap,
Yes.
Commissioner Walde,
yes.
Commissioner Wright,
Yes.
Commissioner Giorgiani,
Yes.
and Chair.
yes.
Okay, everyone. See
All right,
everyone. Bye-bye.
Have a good
Thank
evening.
you.
Bye,
Stephanie,
guys.
have a good night. I'll see you at
All
the
right,
next
everyone, good
supermarket, Stephanie.
Night.
Trader
I'll see you
Joe's.
at the food